YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my takeaways from the Week 16 Thursday night game between Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, I mean, the 49ers and the Titans. Give me my takeaways from these Thursday games every single Friday. Recap the Sunday games on Monday. We got weekly picks, all kinds of NFL content. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Twitter, link down below. It's also on your screen. Check it out. All these points I'm about to talk about, probably already talked about them throughout that game on our Twitter. So check it out. So first I want to start with how this game started. It started like it was going to be an absolute ass beating. It really felt like the 49ers were going to whoop the Titans' ass. The script worked wonders for the 49ers. They marched down the field. They were able to run the ball on the second best run defense in football. And they were effective throwing the ball as well. And, instantly score, instantly get a stop, and then things kind of turned around. And it's a mixture of the Titans' adjustments, mainly on defense. It looked like a well-coached defense with the adjustments, kind of knowing the situation, knowing your opponent, knowing that in crucial situations, third down, fourth down, the 49ers are actually not going to throw past the sticks. They're going to throw underneath to guys like Deebo Samuel. So the Titans did a really good job keeping those guys in front, keeping them underneath the first down marker, sometimes rushing three, knowing when to do that. Because I'm not a big fan of rushing only three a lot, but there was moments where they were successful doing that, and it made sense. So really good adjustments by the defense, the coaching staff, but the players as well. Jeffrey Simmons, big-time Pro Bowl snub, was a disruptor in there, obviously. I thought the linebacker group played pretty well. Zach Cunningham was a real good pickup. Rashaan Evans, he dropped the pick. He should have caught that, but that was actually a really good play by him as well. Titans defense, they've been balling. They've been balling there. It started like the 49ers were going to dominate them. The script looked great. The question, I guess, going forward is this going to happen again? Can they only play on the script? They've proven otherwise, but it is a little bit of a concern for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo because, like I said, what happened after it felt like it was going to be an ass-beating 49ers favor to it turning around? Again, the Titans made adjustments defensively, but Jimmy Garoppolo really struggled. I mean, they were about to go up 14-0. He misses use check. I don't know how you missed that throw. I really don't. That's a real bad one, And then he tries to force one into Kittle. And then Janoris Jenkins gets the interception. That's a massive play. Like if 49ers go up 14-0 there, that's a totally different ball game. Totally different ball game though. Garoppolo's next interception, I yelled out it was happening. I for some reason, I do this for Garoppolo. There's a few quarterbacks I do this for. You could see by their feet before they throw the ball, like it's going to be an interception. It's odd how that happens. And a little bit of panic to his game there. Bad ball, interception, another big play in this game. But, yeah, that's where the 49ers really fell apart. So Garoppolo, who was kind of heating up this portion of the season, but really let his team down. I talked about it at one point. The 49ers felt like they were competing against Jimmy Garoppolo, and at one point felt like, the whole game, and at one point it felt like the Titans were kind of competing against their own play calling, because the play calling, that's a big storyline of this too. Titans, the way they started calling plays this game, pretty bad. Pretty bad. It looked like they were play calling scared almost. They had zero trust in their team. And then you look at it, they're down to their third string left tackle, and they're missing Roger Saffold, their best guard as well. So it kind of makes sense, but I mean, you're trying to win this primetime game. You're trying to secure a good seed, win the division here, get into the playoffs. You're going to have to try. It looked like they were just like, we don't want to throw the ball downfield. A lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. And it was a bit of a mess there. But I think we saw it kind of slowly get better. It was pretty damn bad in the first half. Third quarter, there was still some bad moments while they were converting these third downs. The third down offense was fantastic for the Tennessee Titans, but they're converting these third downs and they're throwing downfield. Every time they throw downfield, it's pretty successful. And they go back to throwing the ball, either running or throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. But you see it start to pick up. There was a moment in the fourth quarter they were backed up at their own end right after they took they took the lead, and everyone thought they were running the football there, and they threw a very quick play action. It was a great play call, great play design too. There's so many teams that run play action. It's always this slow, same play action. Really try to sell the handoff when we roll out. And I like when quarterbacks roll out. I've been calling for Tannehill to roll out more. He started doing so in the second half. Credit to play calling, the fourth quarter. But it was just a quick fake the handoff and throw. That's how you do it. So it was really a roller coaster ride with the play calling for the Tennessee Titans. It went from some of the worst I've seen on the season to they're really fooling the 49ers then. They're really fooling them there. They tried to do a trick play at one point where they could have put the game away. I didn't really like that. That one, it was almost a pick too. But they really picked it up. And maybe that was part of their game plan. Maybe they wanted to be able to fool the Niners later because they're running they got so many runs and so many plays behind the line of scrimmage. They're trying to do the slip screen. They're insisting on it. And there were still bad play calls at the time. But maybe they set this all up, maybe. But I was starting to worry in the first half. It's like, all right, and the reason they're doing this, it felt like, is because they were missing guys. But what happens, this is a huge game. It's like kind of, even though they can't play the 49ers in the playoffs, unless it's a Super Bowl, of course, it felt like a playoff-type game, atmosphere at this point of the season. What if the Titans are projected to be healthier, which they're not right now, but healthier, and maybe the first round of the playoffs, the wild card round, if they play in that round. But they've been getting beat up pretty easy. So what if in the second round they're beat up again? Are you going to play this scared type of ball? Not the players, but the play call in the first half. So I was thinking that. I'm a little worried about this team, long term if this is the case. But then they kind of changed it. They adjusted things, so I like that for them. A.J. Brown, he's back. You don't really forget, but you kind of need to see him in action again. And remember, he's such a fantastic player. The third downs to him, the big plays he was making, the free play down the field was a massive point in this game. And Tannehill was picking it up, starting to get outside the pocket more. That run he had late in the game, he took off, avoided getting sacked, and then got some extra yards, just not sliding. So you see the toughness there. So I like that run. We talked about the defense has been stout for the Tennessee Titans. It started off off the 49ers script a little rough, but and again the play calling picked it up. But they were fantastic on third downs this game, and they shut down George Kittle. I thought that was surprising, and that was big to them. The 49ers, Deebo Samuel, I felt like a Deebo Samuel versus A.J. Brown show. Kind of similar players, like the receivers built almost like hybrids, running backs as well. They can break tackles after the catch. They're tough. And it was just a big-time battle, and Deebo's going to get carries, obviously, out of the backfield. And he had some tough carries, too, breaking tackles. So Deebo versus A.J. Brown show is very fun to watch, kind of similar style players. And off the script, they're great, but what are they going to do after? They're one of the most dangerous teams off the script. They're very dangerous in the red zone as well. But what do they do after that? We talked about Jimmy really struggled. Really struggled. It's the system is there. The play calling could have been a little better in the second half, play choices, but the system is there. There's a lot of quarterbacks that could succeed and win them more games in this offense. Jimmy's got to be better. He's got to take that panic out of his game. He's got to be more accurate with the ball. Sometimes they'll just send one sailing, and then we saw it in the missed throw to Juszczyk, and then and that second interception there. I didn't like they went away from the run, though, and that's kind of been a problem against the Titans' defense, actually, because the Titans are pretty stout stopping the run. They're second best in the NFL. They're allowing under 100 yards, rushing yards per game, which is pretty crazy, I think. Not too many teams can do that. So teams kind of go into games like, all right, we're probably not going to be able to run on these guys because they're very good at running, so let's just not do it. Let's not waste our time. Let's throw the ball. And I can understand that sometimes, but I think you got to try to establish the run. If you can run, don't take it away from yourselves, But the 49ers didn't do that. They came in and they ran the football, and I like that. I respected that for sure because they're not afraid of we are a physical running team. We're not afraid of the second best run defense in football. Some teams have kind of been bailing on the run or not even trying it against this team. Let's go out and show them 49ers football. I love that. And they kind of went away from that. There was a little bit of panic in this game. We talked about Garoppolo. There was a little bit of panic in him for some reason. Titans were getting some pressure. Jeffrey Simmons kind of collapsing some pockets. I thought Bud Dupree was getting some pressure. And there was some panic in his footwork and his throws. But I thought there was actually a little bit of panic from Shanahan. I'm a big Shanahan fan. He's usually a great play caller. I thought he was for the most part in this game. The second half, I didn't love it. But the system is there. It's one of the best in football. Great offensive mind. I love me some Kyle Shanahan, all right? Garoppolo kind of let him down mainly here. But now that I'm talking, I think there was some panic in the play calling because the Titans got all this momentum. They came back. They flipped the script. Went from the 49ers looking like they were going to whoop Titans' ass there to the Titans are back in this. The crowd's in it. They're hyped. The defense is hyped. The offense is getting going here. There's some momentum. They're able to push the ball downfield. They're able to make these big-time third-down plays. So I think the 49ers kind of acted like they were down with their play calls. I think they acted like they were down by more than what they were down by. Even when they were tied, they weren't even down. They were tied, and there was a bad false start. Trent Williams has been incredible, but he had a face mask on one, and he had a bad false start. Still did a pretty good job blocking, but he had a false start. It backed him up, and I think they were already insisting on going for it. I think that was a little bit of panic where it's like we're losing momentum. We got to get this back right now. Like I think there was too much time left in that game. I think a little too much, and then they try to throw the ball, short of the sticks, what they do. And it looked like a bad throw, but IU kind of stopped at the exact same time as Garoppolo threw it. My problem is with throwing it right there, kind of insisting on that one. He could have made a guy miss after the catch and got a first down. I don't think so on that one, though. I didn't really like going for it there, but yeah, kind of talking about again, going away from the run. And they would run here and there. They would do the straight pitchbacks to Debo. I like those, but I don't think they were running enough. I think it was actually working on the Tennessee Titans, even though it's a stout run defense. I think the 49ers, that's just a really good running team, even without Elijah Mitchell. Maybe that factored in it too much, that we don't have Elijah Mitchell. We don't want to run too much. I thought Wilson was pretty effective. Titans were stepping up a little bit, but I think the 49ers were acting like they were losing when they were tied, and then when they were losing, they were kind of acting a little bit like they were losing by a lot. I think it's a little bit of panic, worrying about losing the momentum even further and trying to get it back. I think you can't really worry about those things. I think you got to just go about, if you're a good play calling team and you're a good physical, run, in terms of running the ball, I think you got to kind of stick to your game, stick to what works. So just things I'm thinking of as I'm talking right now. On top of the went away from the run, I didn't really agree with it. But at the same time, you don't really blame Shanahan for trusting his quarterback and trusting what has been working. I mean, when they were getting Debo or Ayuk the ball in space, it looked pretty good. They were so focused on Kittle, maybe that was why. It was just Garoppolo had to hit throws. They were leaking use check out like we saw. So maybe it was just a matter of it's mainly on Garoppolo, though. And we talked about the third down offense from Tennessee Titans was incredible. 49ers third down defense, not so much. I think A.J. Brown taking off when he did, it was a little quiet early. It's because they weren't really giving him a shot. They didn't like the play calling for the Titans. When they got him going, it really changed the game. Getting him going and having that big free play where he had that jump ball catch, huge, because they were so worried about A.J. Brown then. They were starting to get to the tight ends underneath, actually. They were starting to do that, and they were getting McNichols, and that because A.J. Brown taking guys out of the play. We don't even need to get the ball to A.J. Brown. We saw Fred Warner, because he's such a fantastic player, dropping back, and you already had your safeties back there, tight ends open, and now, hey, we can start to get in more of our speed back, a little more action, because we don't have to be as physical, because we're pushing guys back, because we're converting on these passes. And then McNichols, who didn't have that many carries, but I thought he had a couple crucial carries there. And then so did Hilliard and Foreman, of course. Foreman was breaking some tackles, but I thought that was smart. Again, I hated the play calls early because it felt like the 49ers all of a sudden were panicking in their play calls early and late, and it felt like the Titans were kind of scared play call. They were calling plays scared a little bit early. Maybe they were just easing into it, trying to throw them off. That's very possible. But I liked how they were kind of fooling them a little bit, like I said. So I thought that was interesting. I kind of liked, there was a bad call early. They called the Titans on a hold, which I can't really disagree. It's a hold. They just usually don't call it. I don't have a problem with that. And then they called a face mask on that on Foreman. It was a big play. I didn't think that was a face mask. My point is that was the only call I disagree with. The officiating's been a mess this year. There was some contact on some plays downfield, whether it was on receivers or whether it was on corners or safeties or both. But it wasn't a whole lot of contact. When it was a whole lot of contact, it was on both, and they were kind of letting the guys play. And those are those plays where I'm like, yeah, if they throw the flag, it's you can justify it. It's not like a phantom call, It's like there was contact there. But if you don't call it, you'll understand because it's not a lot of contact and maybe by both guys. And I always say if I'm a ref, that's how I would officiate things. So I liked how they were letting them play, and they were letting them play in the back end, but they weren't letting guys hold. And I'm a big fan of that. I like that type of officiating there. So besides one missed call early, actually, this is a very good well officiated game, which I very rarely say recently. So just on that Cruise kind of mentality there and how they were let things play in this playoff type atmosphere. They called a PI late, I think, on the Niners. Yeah, I think that was the right call because he wrapped up his arms, wouldn't allow him to catch the ball. That's where you got to kind of got to call it there. So I actually like that part of this game, which actually made it, more of a defensive game that ended up being more entertaining. I think the refs are responsible for a game. You kind of learn in a game like this. Like it could be the same game, the same scoreline, but a lot of calls deciding things, and I hate that game. It's not as entertaining. So you kind of see that it actually plays a pretty big part here. But that's a clutch win for the Titans. Massive win. They needed that. The Colts were sneaking up on them, and they want to secure a pretty good seed anyways. Maybe they were still confident winning division either way. 49ers is a tough one because it's one they could have won. If Garoppolo took care of the ball a little better, and they could have been a little sneaky. I'm still pretty confident with them being comfortable in the 6th spot. They got some key tiebreaker wins. The Vikings are right behind them. They got that good win against the Vikings not too long ago. That was a big game. We're realizing now how massive that game was. So that's pretty good still. I'm not really too worried. 49ers, though, playoffs, it's a dangerous team. They're dangerous off their script. They're dangerous out-physicaling a team, being more physical, I should say, punching them in the mouth, getting down, running the clock, winning the time of possession, playing some high-motor defense. They're dangerous. They're sneaky, but you just got to take care of the ball, and they can't have any panic in their game. And they can be that sneaky team that can make a run there. People calling for Trey Lance in this game. It's tough to throw him in that game, in that situation. You do wonder, though, what does he look like in practice for Garoppolo to be the guy? Are they playing it safe? Again, Garoppolo has been playing better, so I don't really question it too much, even though those kind of sit in the back of your mind. But, again, massive win for the Titans. I liked how they adjusted and changed things and were smart as the game went on. It's good to see A.J. Brown back because it's a hell of a ball player. Debo, Samuel, and A.J. Brown, got to be some of the most exciting football players to watch. Gets you really excited about the game. It's probably a big reason why this game was entertaining. That's probably the main part, those two guys right there. That's going to do it for this one for the Thursday recap. We got all kinds of content. We got recent mock draft, recent head coach candidates video, all kinds of content here, so check it out. Link in the pin in the comments for recent videos. Follow that Twitter. Be much appreciated. It's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.